How's it taste?
It's good.
Is it good?
It hits the right spot.
Does it? That's good, guys.
Yeah.
That's good. So, why are you growing out the beard?
Beard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Looks good.
no, thanks. Um, back then in varsity, I used to, you just trim it and then make it a balm very low. And then, I don't know if I should go deep into this, but yeah, there was an announcement in our organization.
Okay.
I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that now we can grow beard and it's clean.
As long as it looks clean. Was that
Well,
the agreement?
relatively so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Joel told me about a similar. Okay, well, it's like a bet that or competition.
Hmm.
Whoever can grow the longest beard will get like a pool of money where he's working.
Where it's working.
Yeah, so all the gents are growing out their beards.
That must
And
be
then they
interesting.
say, if your girlfriend or your wife cuts your beard in the middle of the night, you lose the bet.
If your girlfriend or,
Or your
boyfriend
wife.
or your wife,
yeah, cuts your beard in the middle of the night, you lose the bet.
you lose the bet.
Yeah. So
So you must be in good terms with your
yeah,
spouse.
she has to
basically.
you know.
I can imagine the pressure. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what I hear, it's a lot of money. So
How much money?
I don't know. I think it
I
was
mean,
like a
I
couple
might
K.
consider applying there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
it's a software. It's a development studio. Isn't that what you're doing?
yeah. That's part of what I do. So I mean, I'll fit.
You'll fit in.
Yeah. I
But
think.
what are you focusing on mostly back end or front end? Sorry.
So currently, you know what we do with the in-house built-in system that we have.
Mhm.
It caters for CRM, XRM, ERP, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and then they have these other ones for MIB, which is micro insurance and burial. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm currently
All over the place.
yeah, you do back end, but it's not mostly heavy into it because it's deep into the. Have you seen Microsoft on how it works with their
Microsoft CRM.
yeah.
Where I'm working, we just implemented it. Yeah. I was involved in the marketing of it
Okay.
around the office, but not the coding. So I don't know what it looks
Not
like.
the implementation.
Not
of
the
it.
implementation. So I don't know what it looks like.
So I think it's similar.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's similar with that. And what's different is that this one is like in-house. It's a built-in system. It's for the owner.
Custom.
Yeah. It's custom. Yeah. It's custom made.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I've been busy with, and you do your plugins, your configurations there, which is like a low-code thing, kind of thing, unless maybe there's like any other extensions that you need to add to cater for that specific customer.
Yeah.
That's when you get to do like your plugins and your what's this thing, configuration. I mean, yeah.
You think the degree helped? Because it sounds very. I don't remember any CRM modules.
Honestly, I don't want to lie.
Yeah.
To me, especially like specifically informatics modules,
Yeah.
they helped me a lot
Yeah.
because now that's why I'm able to just being open with everything. Every task that I'm being given, I can quickly nail it, from your documentation to doing presentations. Remember 370? Yeah, so it's part of what I do now. Quite a
Yeah.
lot of presentations. The issue I just need to learn, because now my issue is that now when I do a presentation, I'm more focused into technicality.
Yeah.
And then now, if you're selling that to someone who's not into technical stuff, it's like, but where do I benefit into your configurations?
You need to learn to be a salesman now.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Eh? I'm willing to learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I remember when we were doing our presentations, bro. Okay, half of it was we didn't have any sleep.
Didn't have
when
any?
we would sleep when we were doing our presentations.
Mhm.
But also, it was difficult to. we got lucky because the lecturers understood the technical aspect, but we also needed to learn to speak as well. To speak, like to project and to actually explain the system as a whole and what it does. We got caught up in like the small things. We got caught up in, yeah, this is a field and this is how we validate X, Y, and Z. But then the lecturer wanted to know what is the process,
Yes.
you know?
So that's one of the I think that's one of the where the trick is. As a developer now, you're more focused into understanding how am I going to solve this? How does this use case get to fit the business processes, or how does it go from there? How am I going? You're already thinking like code wise. Gee, what functions you need to have, the dictionary. I mean, the libraries and dictionaries that you're basically going to use, obviously. But then when you go to a client and then you try to explain these things, they don't care. They just want to see. That's why maybe I think that's why maybe when you do presentation, you do the front end, but you show them the front end,
Yeah.
the vanilla. I was like, yeah, this is how
the
it's going
nice
to
things.
do. It's like, yeah,
You know what? The more that I experience life now, the more I realize how much customer experience matters. So it's kind of like when you're training yourself to make a product, let's say code a system, right?
yeah,
It's almost like the client is bigger than you, and you're afraid that they're gonna pick out things in your presentation. They're gonna like take it apart, and they're gonna like destroy it almost. So you're afraid to present it, but then you're forgetting that the client is a person as well. You know, they 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 also have their own problems. They've got their own family. They also go to sleep. They also wake up. They also eat food. You know what I'm saying? And
I
so
get you.
and so if you like take that into account and you have a conversation with the client and you establish that connection with them, it's actually easier to sell them a product. Let me give you an example, right?
Okay.
Yesterday. So yesterday I'm out, right?
Mm.
And then I get a call from my mom yesterday, Vice.
Correct.
And then she's like, yeah, we're buying a car. I'm like, okay. Why? Well, like, what happened? What happened? And then she's like, no, she always wanted a Jeep. She wanted a Jeep to travel to certain places.
Jeep or
A
Jeep?
Jeep. A
Okay.
Jeep. And then she sends me a picture of the Jeep and it looks dope. Looks dope, right? And then she tells me on the phone, we didn't even come to buy a car. We just sat over coffee
Yeah.
and we did the whole transaction literally over coffee, like on our phones. So they literally signed the documents over coffee. And I thought that was so interesting. Look,
Really?
can you imagine? They go there, they're just going to go and in fact, my mom said we should do this.
Hmm?
Should just go with the guys, go take a trip to like We Buy Cars or something, man,
Yeah.
and just look at the cars because there's some nice
Can we
cars,
do that?
bro.
I don't know when. During the any week or any weekend, can you do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Currently looking.
Are you? Okay, let's do it.
Let's not talk about that. But
Okay, we'll get there. So, yeah, then she said, no, they were just walking through. She did want a car, another car for a long time, for like a 4x4 or whatever. But then, like, the salesman, sat my mom and dad down over coffee, just talking nonsense, you know?
correct.
And then after some time, they literally bought a car. And what I think happened there, although I don't know if this happened exactly, but I know how my dad operates, is that guy probably was just nice to them, just treated them like people. Didn't treat them
Yeah.
like somebody like, you need to buy this, you need to buy this, you
Yeah.
need to like, how can I sell it to you? Low price, low mileage, blah blah blah. The guy was probably like, so what are you looking for? Are you looking for something?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we have in stock. Like, I'm not saying buy it or whatever. Take it for a drive. Here's the keys.
Ooh,
And my dad took it for a drive, and they chatted a little bit. Come back to the coffee shop.
that's interesting.
How insane is that?
You show me the car.
I'll show you. I'll show
Yeah.
you. Well, I'll take you for a drive that side. It's parked outside because there's no space to park it now. But in any case, the same thing happened with my dad.
Yeah.
If we're talking about cars, the same thing happened with my dad with back in the day. They had my mom and dad had a GL. I think it was a 350.
A GL.
Yeah, a GL. But I can't remember what. It wasn't an ML. I know it was a GL, but think it was a 350, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Thing is, he went to, at the time, my parents were working on a house in Joburg. So they were building this house, big house. And my dad, in his off time, would work on the house himself. So you'd see him painting
Yeah.
outside, big walls, in his overalls.
Cool.
And at the same time, he wants to buy this a Merc, right?
Mm.
So he goes to the Merc dealership in his overalls because he didn't have time to change. And immediately the guy, the guy didn't pay him any attention, first of all. And when my dad was asking about the cars, he treated him as if he couldn't afford one. So he left.
Actually, just to divert a little bit on that, I actually saw this guy on, I think it was on Instagram, where he went to the dealership with his like dirty overalls, and the comments, I think he just bought like the latest a GT6. Yeah. And the comments from that picture, it's like, yeah, this is what a real hard work is. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see. And then, but people take that and they assume that you can't, that because you're doing labor like that.
I mean, yeah. I think
Fair enough, I guess, because it's not really a high paying job. But I mean, but the point is you don't judge a person just because of what they look like. And if you treat your customer like they're human, you don't treat them that way. You don't see the overalls, let's say. You just see them as a person. Literally. That's all it is, man.
okay. So, if you were a salesperson now at this point, how would you like to encounter your clients or your customers per se? Let's say specifically a car salesman.
A car salesman. You just take the pressure away from it, man. You know, like, okay, buying a car is stressful enough because it's a lot of options.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things to consider. If the guy has a family, he needs to get a car with enough space and fuel economy and ease of driving, like with sensors, backup camera and stuff. And so you've got like a ton of different options. And so the guy is stressed out, you know? So at first, just approach him like a person. Be like, okay, what's the issue you're struggling with? Let's see if I can help you out, right?
Okay.
And come at it from a perspective of, I'm not just a sly salesman trying to, you know, make you spend money when you don't want to. I'm your friend. Because at the end of the day, I do want to help you buy a car. It would be nice if you bought one from me. But at the end of the day, the worst case scenario is we form a connection. And later on, when you want to buy another car, or you want to buy a car for your kid, or your wife wants to buy a car, who are you going to come to? Who are you going to?
That's actually a great point.
So that's what I would do. I'd approach it from a chilled perspective. What do you want to do? Tell me what you're looking for. And I'll let you come have a look at my cars. In fact, I'll let you drive one or two of them. See what you like to help you out. If you're unsure, which most likely you are unsure, let me put you behind the wheel of one of the cars. Maybe it'll clear things up for you.
Sure. I guess, yeah. It definitely does make a difference. A huge one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, just
I like to
actually
think
giving
so.
the person the key. And so, at the very least, like I said, you will have that connection that you can call back to. Because what's interesting is, I think it's just a people thing. It's a people thing, right? But when you have many, I explained this to Toto, when you have many options, many options, let's say you're buying a car, you can go to any dealership, anywhere, right? You have so many options. You will start choosing the weirdest excuses to knock things off the list, just so the list is smaller. So you can pick from it, right? So if I give you a menu with 1,000 items, you're going to start choosing stupid excuses. You're going to say, I don't like lettuce, but you ate lettuce last time. I don't like pickles, but you said you like pickles. You know what I'm saying? You start knocking things off, right?
But I mean, like, that's how in real life we get to choose things at the end of the day.
Exactly. So in this case, what's the thing you'll use at the back of your mind? He was nice to me. He gave me coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even though the cars they were selling me were the same, he was nicer to me.
I mean, yeah, it makes a huge difference from how you get approached from the entrance of the car dealership and
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. In fact, my dad said, if I were to join back to that Merc story, my dad said after he walked out of that place, I think it was Toyota, there was a guy that was there And I don't know if he witnessed what happened or something. And he told me that, come in for a coffee. Let's chat. You don't have to, I'm not going to sell you anything. Let's just talk. And from there, he ended up buying a car from that dealership.
It's quite interesting, eh?
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
You know, now that you just sat down and I'm starting to just get comfortable with it, a lot of things are starting to come out that I
Coming,
really
yeah.
want to ask you.
Yeah, hit it, bro. Let's talk.
I remember we were sitting here at the clubhouse from that day and you spoke about dopamine detox, from getting to sleep, the amount of time you spend on social media, and having to be disciplined with your time, and while balancing your work ethic, obviously, with your family and everything. Do you want to jump on that?
Yeah, let's hit it, bro.
Okay.
Let's hit it, man.
Yeah. So first of the things that you said to me was how you would, it got to a point where you even told me that you even stopped listening to music. I'm like, is it that deep though?
Depends. It depends on why you listen to music. What do you see when you listen to music?
I mean, mostly when you do some things, you don't think about the results. You just think about just yourself enjoying it at that moment. For instance, if I'm just taking a walk to work, or if I'm coming back to work, just not plug my AirPods and then listen to music, right? Just to kill the distractions or whatever, and then get to I'm going. You don't think like, let me just get a pump of dopamine a little bit.
But you do get it, though.
You do, but
do
it's
get
like the chemicals that gets released, whether you like it or not. The fact that you're doing whatever you wanted to do at that point, it gets released automatically.
Yeah. Okay. So with me, I think part of the reason why I try to cut down on it is because I do it a lot for no reason. But part of the reason why I listen to music is because, like, I see things. I see like, if let's say the podcast, or not even, let's say a separate project I'm working on for work, and it's big and stressful. When I'm listening to music, I see the end product. In fact, I don't just see it, I feel the end product. I feel myself there submitting it. I see how cool the graphics look. I see everyone is happy,
Yeah.
That flood of dopamine is a problem because it removes the middleman. The middleman is me actually experiencing doing the work. And it makes me believe that I did it, and I just get lost in it. And that gives me hectic hit of dopamine, man.
Isn't it the same theory that before doing something, just try to keep quiet about it and then get to do it first, and then at least it's easier for you to talk about things that you have done than things that you want to do, because there's a certain level of self-deceit that gets to happen in the middle of you doing the actual work and you talking about it.
Yeah, fair enough. There's discipline there as well, because when you speak about it, if you speak about it often enough, you can fool yourself into believing you've done it. So I can see where you're coming from, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it mostly happens with probably maybe you want to study and you're like tired, or there's still like extra projects that you need to do at night and you just came back from work. I'm like, let me just catch a little bit of a break, watch maybe one episode or whatever you want to watch at that point. Like, yeah, I'm going to study this, that, or I'm going to do this and that. And at the end, you end up just losing that, just like that. Or how connected that is with your self-discipline.
Yeah, I think part of it is like, if you give yourself, I don't think you should give yourself an option. Because as soon as, with me, right, sleep is my escape. Even if I'm not tired, it's just for some reason, I use it as an escape. So if like at the end of the day, it's like a tiring day or whatever, somehow, somewhere I convince myself it's fine. You can go to sleep. When you wake up, it'll be okay. But I find that, and that's a problem in and of itself, but I find that if I just don't give yourself an option, don't even entertain the thought of it, and just do the work, what you get from that is momentum. Momentum is like
Very
invaluable.
huge.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
invaluable. Because as soon as you start thinking, hey, it's a lot of work, or damn, this coding problem is chowing me, or ish, maybe I need a break. Now, fair enough. Sometimes you need a break. Okay, sometimes you need a break. But when you start giving yourself excuses, man, hey, then there's cracks that start forming, and then you start getting slower, and you slow down, and you stop.
It's a lot.
Dude, you see?
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, they say that the things that's keeping you from getting disciplined is the amount of things you tell yourself before you get to do the actual work.
What kind of things do you tell yourself?
For instance, now that you just said that don't entertain the thoughts of it. Don't just entertain, just go do it without having to think about it. Sometimes you think there's a huge hole, but it's just, you just cross over, that's it.
Dude.
And the more you just start doing it, you just can. You like posting videos on your Instagram, reposting them. I've seen on the Instagram page of this. I just saw the one of your stories, I think, recently. Yeah, and it's a really great perspective from that point where you think it just some things is just a very steep, or some path are very steep, and it's just you just get to do it, and then from there you just gain momentum and you roll from there.
Yeah. That's see, here's something interesting you made me think about. So imagine this. Your goal is a pile of gold inside a cave. Okay? And your task in order to achieve that goal is a dragon guarding the cave. Okay? Thing is, we don't know what the dragon looks like. We only heard stories. But we know what the goal is. Okay? Now you are a knight with armor and a sword and everything, right? You have to go fight that dragon. But there's a problem now, because you don't know what the dragon looks like. It can be really big, or really small, or tired, or really angry. You don't know. But the thing is, you get so scared of what it could be. You don't even try to go fight it, right?
Yeah.
So a way to get through that is you kind of shine a light on the cave. And so what does that mean? Take your task. Let's say it's a video you have to edit, a wedding video you have to edit. Take the task. Tell yourself what you have to do. Break it down into subtasks. Say, okay, I need to this is the preparation section. Let's say it's a lobola. This is the preparation section. This is when the family gets let in. There's the negotiation section. Here's the cooking, celebration. You break it down into chunks and you're like, okay, maybe this will take me this long to do. This will take me this long to do. I need to do color grading as well. How long is it going to take to color grade the footage? Need to do sound, music, need to find music. How long will it take? At the end of it, you have a plan. You just shined a light on the dragon. You know how big it is. You literally know how long it's going to take now. You're not afraid anymore. And so now you can start to say, okay, for now, let's leave this stuff. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Let's just pull everything into the timeline. Let's just optimize the footage for today. You know?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And then you start moving that way. How's that?
I actually have a challenge for you, right? There's this guy on YouTube. I'll send you the link as well. You know Andrew Huberman, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You
You know Jordan Peterson, right?
Yeah.
You know okay, I'll remember his name. But yeah. This guy, he challenges himself to do their what's this daily routine.
I think I've seen his thumbnail. I haven't watched the video.
Yeah. So he once tried Jordan Peterson's daily routine.
Chowing meat the whole day.
From that 78 hours work, no disturbance, waking up early in the morning, having a heavy breakfast, protein, and going to bed early in the morning. I mean, not early at night. Yeah, very early. So that's something that I once tried as well. And I actually did a scorecard where I give myself, if I did this better, can I improve this? And I'm like, this is very crazy because at some point, these kind of things or habits get to be instilled into you. Because now when you wake up and then you start doing different things, it gets to click like, no, but at this time I'm usually doing something different. I'm usually waking by this time. What is it? So I actually now have reminders from 9 o'clock in the morning. And I say that's where my work starts up until a certain amount of time. That's where I tell myself that, okay, now you can stop. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you get like 7 to 8 hours windows of like just straight work. Yeah.
How long did you do these routines
It
for?
was for a week.
For a week.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to know. And you say it's stuck with you, some of the habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Because now if you know that I have to wake up, so somehow it's you trying to instill discipline into you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you try to, by all means to stick to it, because now at the end of the week or each and every day you get to give yourself a scorecard and say, okay, did I wake up at this time? Yes. Did I work 7 to 8 hours? Yes. How many? Maybe from a rate of 1 to 10. How do you rate yourself? Because you can't lie to yourself. Obviously, you know how well you have done it. I mean, it goes to an extent where you even limit bathroom hours or checking your phone hours. I'm like, this is crazy.
That's mental.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I found myself at some point at work going to the bathroom multiple times. I'm like, I know I'm trying to deceive myself into thinking that I actually need them because that's how I get to, to relieve myself or whatever. But I'm like, no, what I can do is just to limit the amount of drinks I get to drink, but just straight hours and just work. That's it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel that what's the outcome if you don't hit so your scorecard?
Yeah.
If you fail that card, how do you feel?
I mean, it gave me a challenge to just try to push more and see. So the end goal of this was just for me to give myself 10 out of 10 for a specific for each and any day for any day of that week that I give myself. Let's say, for instance, maybe I'm trying Andrew Huberman's work ethic or daily routine for a week. So I'll just try maybe to see which day did I score the most. What did I do differently here? So that maybe I can just look back and say, okay, maybe I had more work, or maybe there was something that I was going through that I was trying to avoid. So that's how maybe I try to keep track of, okay, at what point do I perform the most and what is it that kind of interests me? So maybe sometimes working in tech, you get to, sometimes you have tasks that are really tough and you don't like them. And, the following morning you have to report in the stand up that I was doing this yesterday, this is how it went, and I got to finish. And sometimes it's nice because, so for instance, maybe we do a sprint planning. You know Agile, right? Yeah, the methodology. Sorry, the Agile methodology. You get to do that, and we do Fibonacci. We use Fibonacci to plan our sprints.
Okay.
Where we do how we do it is we get an action, or it could be an epic, obviously, or an actual task, a normal task that you get to say, okay, how long is it going to take you? How hectic is it from a rate of, from that Fibonacci score? Which hours do you take? It's the 1 or 3 or a 5, and then you get to pick. So for instance, maybe it's just a 3. And then you tell them, this is going to take me maybe 2 hours to do it, or 2 days. That's when I get to challenge myself and say, okay, I can do this. Let me just try to do it in 1 day. I remember Pride once told me that if ever a client says to you, how long is this going to take you? Or I don't want to say my boss, but
Yeah.
if ever a client, let me just use clients. If they ever say, how long is this going to take you? Whatever amount, that this is how long it's going to take you, double it. So at least you have more time to finish it and then review your work. Then
Well, to defend that, It's not wrong what you're saying, because our best times for something like editing, let's say, it can be extremely quick, but it's very taxing mentally and physically. Like if I edit my fastest I've ever edited, I'm done after like 4 hours, you know?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I can edit a lot in 4 hours. And so the doubling it spaces it out, not so that you can be lazy, but it's so that you also leave space for putting but more effort in there, quality checks, so you don't make stupid mistakes, and also troubleshooting.
Yeah.
If there's an effect that I don't understand, now I have to go watch tutorials. I have to
Course.
try it out, whatever, So that doubling accounts for it as well. And it's a more realistic, because imagine you're getting tasks every day and you're giving each task your best time. By the end of that week, you're going to want to resign. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the whole double time thing. It's just that some companies, let's say, I don't know what industry you want to pick, man. Let's pick programmers. Let's pick development houses.
Okay.
Bro, they'll take it and they'll extend a 3-month project to maybe a year,
Yeah.
year and a half. You know
Relatively,
that.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And like, come on, guys. Like, seriously? Like, now you're just being stupid now. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a limit. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? There's a limit. But the whole challenging yourself to hit a new routine, I can see why it's a good way to build some momentum if you're like in a rut. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So if you're waking up late, you're not getting work done, your room is a mess, you didn't go to gym for like 3 weeks. A quick way to jump into it is to do that. It's to jump into a new routine. It's to almost kickstart yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I can see how picking up a routine like that is cool. It's just that some people take it a bit too far. So let's say an Andrew Huberman workout, whatever, it probably has like cold baths.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I know, like a lot of things, right? It's got a lot of things. And so at the back of your mind, okay, before that, they've got very different lifestyles, these guys. They've got very different,
yeah,
you know,
because yeah,
they've got very different bodies, very different mental states. They've got very different
yeah,
life circumstances. Maybe they don't have 9 to 5s like we do, they have their own businesses and stuff like that. So they've got certain freedoms that allow them to do that routine. And so let's say some random guy, a university student just starting out, wants to be like Andrew Huberman. So he'll grab Andrew Huberman's schedule, and within the first 2 days, he'll fail that scorecard.
yeah.
And the reason why I asked you, how would you feel after failing that scorecard, is because that person, it would probably hit them deep and it would make them feel even worse, because they think, I can't even follow a routine from someone else. You know what I'm saying? When it's not even that deep, bro.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, just to put a disclaimer on that, it's obviously you should be very careful in terms of like following people's life to that extent, because the main purpose is just not to mimic them or just to put them as like one of the people you view them as like highly, or just to praise them. It's not that, but just to see in what kind of circumstances would you go through without having to break yourself. You see, it's just you trying to experiment things that maybe you haven't done before in your life.
I think oh, sorry, just pull it a bit closer to you.
Okay.
I think but you know your limits, and you've been doing this for a while, so you also know what it doesn't hit you as hard when you don't achieve a goal.
Yeah.
You kind of just retry. You know what I'm saying? So, but with these kinds of people, where I was like this when I was younger, like you're always excited to start a new routine and try and see how hard you can hit it, and try and wake up at 5 and then hit the gym and this time and go to all your lectures and do your homework and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. But as soon as one thing stops, everything starts cascading down, and I felt really demotivated. And around the time I started hearing this thing called toxic productivity culture.
What?
Have you heard that before?
Never.
It's kind of like people have become wise to it now, but I'd assume people have become wise to it now, but back then, it's when you had people like, let's take Jordan Peterson, because we talked about Jordan Peterson. He says a lot of nice things, right?
Mm.
You can take a lot of what he says and make a very strict schedule for yourself, okay?
Correct.
Very strict schedule, but that's the problem. It's not supposed to be strict. But as a kid, as a young kid, you're excited to be productive for once in your life, you know?
Mm.
And so you make the strict thing, but what you're doing is you're setting a goal so high that if you fail, it's almost like losing grip on a mountain and you fall down the entire mountain and you lose motivation completely. And afterwards, you look at other people around you that are climbing the same mountain and you feel even worse. And so it kind of, instead of the productivity building your mindset, building your character, it actually tears it down like acid. That's why it's toxic. You know what I'm saying? It's corrosive.
Oh.
So sometimes you can take it far, but you're not like that. And I'd like to think I'm not like that as well.
Well, I've never thought about it to that extent. Yeah, that's
it-
why it's there's new words that like toxic productivity. I've never heard that before.
Do you think you approach it from a perspective of, do you gauge yourself though? Do you gauge yourself and see, okay, this was me last week and this is me now? And you check the improvements, or do you check it against the schedule, against the person's schedule?
Not entirely, because sometimes I've done it for a week, right? So for me to at the end of that week was just for me to say, okay, I managed to go through this. Let me just get back to myself now.
Back to yourself.
Yeah,
But
out of that schedule where I have to like do things and see what is it that I can still maintain from that without having to look back to it or trying to give myself a scorecards or what's not.
okay, but you do it in a healthy way then, because what you do is, let's say you're following Jordan Peterson's thing. I don't know if he wakes up early or whatever, but what time does he
Yeah,
wake
it
up?
was between 7 to 8. Yeah.
Between 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay. And you try and, let's say you're waking up at like 10. You try and wake up between 7 and 8. There's a lot of things on his schedule that he does that's
Yeah.
very productive and stuff.
Of course. And
Let's
he's
say-
and he's married and I'm not.
And
He's married.
he's married and you're not. So there's certain life things that, don't match up
Because
exactly.
yeah.
And so, and so,
had
the
to
wife
take-
time gets replaced by what you time, I guess. I don't know what you're doing during that you time. So after doing Jordan Peterson's week,
Yeah.
you go back to your week and you pull across waking up at a
Yeah.
good time. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But what some people might do is they'll say, I want to pull everything across. That's the mistake.
Yeah.
Because you're going to fail.
I get you. Yeah, no. Keeping track of like how some things may differ, and I think it's one needs to understand why they're doing it in the first place without having to just cluster
big one.
everything in their life or what's on. Because now they you have different friends, different surroundings, and what's on. Because now Jordan obviously is a very well connected person. He says that himself. Like I get to, even now I can make calls that you can't make. So
Damn, he's a savage now, eh?
yeah, he is. Yeah, so I mean, certain things that, well, if I say I'm connected, I mean I'm talking about you, Tato,
Sure. That's still good though, right?
no,
hope.
you guys are very high profile people that I know so far.
Okay, Tato, not me.
Yeah, Tato, yeah, and Pride.
And Pride, apparently,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, so-
big man now.
I mean, for
It's different. It's different circumstances.
yeah, I'm trying to not to lose my
Sure.
thinking process. I already lost it though.
No, so what it is it's like you can't follow somebody's. Tell me if this is where you're going. You can't follow somebody else's schedule too strictly because their lives are different than yours.
course.
You need to understand why
Yes.
they have those things in those schedules, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so my main purpose of doing that was just to instill some sort of like a work ethic that I didn't have at some point. Because sometimes you think, well, I've heard this from one of my close friends from high school. It's like, you're so disciplined, man. He told me, I think 2 months back, like, you're so disciplined. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, man, you're so disciplined. When it comes to your life, it looks like you're strict and make sure, like, from your relationships life, which I don't want to go there,
I will go
which I don't want to go there.
That's fine. Yeah.
Into like from school, work, and everything. And like, yeah, you're so disciplined. I'm like, yeah, and you too with your religion life, you're really strict. I'm like, I've never looked at it like that. At some point, I'm like, I need to do this. I need to fix my this. I need to fix, because that's how it's always been to me. It's like a roller coaster every time. It's like, okay, I need to do this. I need to fix that. I need to fix. Yeah.
That's why it's so nice to measure yourself according to your previous self though. I find I'm comfortable with weeks. So I checked back at last week. I feel like it's not too short to
Yeah.
be unstable, for the events to be unstable, but it's not too long
Yes.
or too many things to have happened. So when you look at it from the perspective of, let's say that person said, you're so strict, you're so disciplined, you whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because you make small improvements over time, and that's why you don't see it as like a big thing, right?
Yeah.
But oppose that to, if I follow Jordan Peterson's schedule continuously, there's like, you're constantly aware that there's this high goal that you have to try and achieve. You're sensitive to, I have to wake up at this time, I have to gym at this time, I have to spend so much time with family, I have to do all of these things. And as soon as I miss one thing, it's like it's detrimental. Whereas you're living life, right? You're
Yeah.
slowly improving every week
Of course.
to such a degree that someone can come to you and say, hey, dude, but you're disciplined. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. In fact, if anything, I need to be more disciplined.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that's a healthier balance. In fact, funny you mentioned something like that, because at gym last week,
Yeah.
so I've been going to gym since 2021, right? But obviously there were gaps because of final year and what,
course,
and,
yeah.
you know, personal stuff. And so, but I've been there for a while, and there's a guy that joined as well at 2022 or something. And I saw him, you know, it's a small gym. It's here. It's
Yeah.
here. So I noticed the guys in the gym, you know what I'm
Of course,
saying?
yeah.
And then I'm there on the bar, right, doing pull-ups, right?
Yeah.
I'm still working on my progression for muscle up, right?
Yeah.
And so I jump back off the bar, and then this guy, he comes to me, young dude. I'd assume he's maybe matric, right?
Yeah.
He's like, bro, how the hell did you do that? I was like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, I've been trying for so long to learn how to do a muscle up. I don't know how you did that. And first of all, it wasn't a clean muscle up. I still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And then he says, I've been seeing you, dude. I joined in 2022, but I've been seeing you since way back then. And I see your progression, and you're doing like calisthenics and workouts and stuff. I'm like, dude, how do you do that? You know, how do you get the strength to do that? And in the back of my mind, I think, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, dude. I can barely hold myself up, you know? Right? But then,
Yeah.
meanwhile, I tell him, okay, you know Chris Area, right?
Yeah. I know.
The calisthenics guy.
calisthenics. Yeah.
So this kid is asking me, why, who, you know, how can I get there? And I said, you know Chris Area? He says, yeah, the Asian guy. I said, yeah, his stuff works. You just need discipline. So essentially, Chris Area makes a schedule. He gives you plenty of schedules. He'll like tailor it for you. I think you can buy some.
He's
Obviously,
really
everyone's-
good, eh?
He's very good, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you take that schedule and apply it to yourself, you will die. Because you're not Chris Area. You know what I'm saying? Even if he says it's a beginner workout, it's his version of a
Yeah.
beginner workout. You might be way weaker. And so what did I do? I said, okay, I like these workouts from Chris Area. I'll take those. And I stopped watching Chris Area for like 2 or 3 years. And I just did my own
You
thing.
did your own thing.
And when you look back,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, I took something from his schedule, implemented it in my life in a healthy way. I didn't kill myself at the gym every time I couldn't do as many pull-ups as Chris Area could. You know what I'm saying?
So actually, that's the point I was looking for from doing those weekly routines for JP or Andrew Huberman also and the likes of that. It's that you do it so that you can take something out of it and then implement it in your life in a healthy way without having to break your back and feeling like, ah, man, I can't even follow things that I can see from a TV or from just watching, is it?
I think people are looking for an easy way out. Because use fitness, because we're on fitness now. Use fitness as an example. People want to know, how do I give me a meal plan and give me a workout that I can follow to lose this weight? But they're asking someone else to do that. Now, granted, okay, if that's your job, if fitness is your job and you can create meal plans for people and that's your business, fine, that's perfect, right? But don't expect to go into YouTube and follow somebody else's routine and think that it's going to apply to you. Rather, take your approach where it's like, I like the fact that Jordan Peterson wakes up at a certain time every day. I like that he sets aside time for X, Y, and Z thing every day. I want to do that for my brother or sister. I want to set time aside for that. But people want to be Jordan Peterson. People want to be Chris Harrier. It's almost like they abandon themselves.
I think that's what happens with all the influences from from social medias most of the time. When they do content from their daily routine, first thing when I wake up, I do this, do that, and then they tend to just wake up and think, okay, maybe I just need to wake up like that, do this. Maybe I don't have the funds to do that. And you see genuine guys who does those videos, who shoot that type of content, being original to themselves and say, okay, I don't have this, but let me just do my own version with where I'm staying, what I have, and what I can afford without having to break my back and think that I need to go buy some fancy things and just show off to the internet for the sake of likes, and which I can't even afford, see.
Yes, and it's based in this idea that people don't want to be themselves because they're not, because they don't like themselves. Part of that is a good thing though. Part of it. It can't get nihilistic now. But you need to understand that you're not everything you could be. If you were, everything would be very nice, right? Things would be smooth.
I actually like that.
Right?
Yeah.
But you need to have this balance of, I love myself, but I'm not where I should be. So the love yourself part says that I love myself so much that I'll drag myself to gym. I love myself so much that I'll force myself to wake up at 6 or 7 because I know it's good for me. Because wouldn't you do that for someone you love? Without a question, right? And what's funny is you do that for someone you love quicker than you do that for yourself. You'll tell someone else to take vitamins during winter.
Crazy.
Huh? Because people don't. And I understand. Part of it is because you know your thoughts. You know how dark you can get.
Yeah.
At the very least, that's me, right? And so it's almost like you have to learn to love yourself as well, but not get obsessed with yourself. Because when you get obsessed, you get comfortable with the way you are. So let's say you're overweight to the degree where it's putting pressure on your body. So objectively, it's unhealthy for you. Your ankles are inflamed. You can't walk upstairs. You can't do things with your friends anymore because it's not practical. It's painful.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, you don't have to hate yourself to start making changes, but you have to say, I want to live long enough to have a family. I want to live long enough to see my sister graduate. I want to go watch sunsets on mountains with my girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So you need to love yourself enough to say, my guy, you're cool and everything, but we gotta put in the work. You know what I'm saying? We gotta put in the work.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, I don't even know which part I need to comment on, but
Go for it, man.
no,
Go for
but
it.
here's an interesting fact that so you remember we've been collecting codes since past year, yeah.
Of course.
All right. I'm gonna try to read the clean ones, actually, obviously. And I want to hear what's the first thing that comes into your mind.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
No pressure.
Okay. Does looks matter?
To a degree, yes. Well, are you asking personally? Are you asking personally?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, you said to what? To an extent, to a certain extent. Why?
So let's use weight because we're on weight.
A what?
Let's use weight because
Weight.
we're on weight, right?
Okay.
Let's say if you're at once again at that degree where you're actually suffering physical issues, right?
Yeah.
If you look, people are gonna. So if you look, if you're larger in that degree,
Yeah.
looks wise,
Mm-hmm.
it tells me about your lifestyle. I'm not gonna judge people. It's just my preference, right? It's just
Get
my
you.
preference.
Get
So for
you.
me, that tells me, okay, sharp. Grooming yourself as a gent,
Mm.
you let your hair grow out. You let
Very
your hair grow.
important.
Your
Yeah.
hair is unkept.
Yeah.
You dress like, you don't really care about the way that you dress. It tells me a bit about yourself. You don't care about the way you portray yourself to the world.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Simple things like that. So that's in part the looks.
Mm.
It tells you a little bit about the person's lifestyle.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, it is divisive.
Hmm?
It's divisive, but it's
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this one is by Raymond Reddington. He said, when you love someone, you have no control. That's what love is.
no control. Did he explain in what regard? Okay, it's, the problem is, right, with the whole affection to such a degree that you'd call it love. It's like it's almost like the human mind is a fight between logic and feeling. Logic and feeling. And
Logic
it's
and
like,
feeling.
yeah.
Okay.
And when you feel, let's say, love, it's like a feeling you're not completely used to, because it's really strong affection for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't really be explained. So we try and explain it by using the word love, like I love you. But what does that mean? And so I think that there's almost like a conflict with our minds with the actual concept of love, because it's almost like one of the highest versions of feeling, one of the highest representations of feeling. And because we can't really quantify it with our logical brains, it's like out of control sometimes. It's like you do things that you can't control. You before you know it, I remember okay, I'll give you an example. There was a time, it's a good example, so I'll give it to you.
Okay.
So there was a time where my ex had light bulb that wasn't working. Okay. There's a light bulb that wasn't working in our
Yeah.
makeup place, right?
Cool.
And I made note of it
Mm.
because it was a specific light bulb with specific wattage. I think it was
Yeah.
like 7 watts.
Yeah.
You can see I even told you how many watts. So there was a day where I wasn't at the office and I had to run errands quickly. But I was harsh on time because I had something I had to submit in the afternoon.
Mm.
So I had work to do, right? So I should have just used all that time for it, although I had enough time, right? So I decided, now I'm out, let me go check for this bulb.
So you did think about
So
it.
I go to my dad. I asked my dad, hey, where can I find this bulb? He tells me, go check at Clicks. So I go check at Clicks. Clicks doesn't have the bulb. So
Wait,
what do I do?
sorry, did he ask you what is it for?
No, he didn't ask why.
Okay, cool that.
But yeah, I check at Clicks. It's not at Clicks.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I went to Builder's Warehouse. Now, mind you, time is going now. I have work to do.
Yeah.
Now, let me check. I speak to the guy there. I'm like, dude, do you have 7 watts? So we check these bulbs. He's like, 7 watts. He's like, go check at my car. So I go and drive. I think it's like in Centurion or something. I don't know where I went, dude. I drove to my car. I was like, you guys better have a 7-watt bulb here,
For my
right?
girlfriend.
By that time, I don't know how. I think it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours went by. They didn't have the bulb. Dude.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. I felt so bad. And I wanted to go back and find the bulb again. You know what I'm saying? But I had to do work and I had to go back. I come back home. I thought to myself, hey, man, what made me go and search for this one bulb? And it could be some really strong affection. And that's what I mean by
Mm.
whatever, I don't know if you want to call it love, but there's a certain level where this affection gets so strong, you lose all logic and you just do it for the sake of the
Yeah,
person. You know what I'm saying?
I get you. Interesting perspective from how you've explained it, eh? This one is by JP.
Okay.
He's saying, why isn't it appropriate for you to crushed by the weight of your own stupidity?
Why is it appropriate?
Why isn't it appropriate? Why is it not?
Why is it not appropriate for you to
Yeah.
be crushed by the weight of your stupidity?
Yeah, of your own stupidity.
Of your own stupidity.
Yeah.
Did he say this in an interview?
Sorry?
Did he say this in an interview?
I don't remember.
Interesting. Okay, at face value, it's a weird one, but at face value, I'd say, what do you mean by stupidity? It's like ignorance. No, not ignorance is not stupidity. It's like
Stupid decisions?
making stupid decisions. Well, you should be, because that's how you learn, right? I would say. If you mess around, if you F around, you'll find out, right? Okay, maybe that's two different things, but yeah, man. I mean, it's almost like the older you get, the less mistakes you can make without suffering harsh consequences. Because as a kid, you can make some stupid mistakes, right? But you're not gonna. Your parents will protect you. Your guardians will protect you. You'll get protected to some degree. But when you get older, there's a point where you should get crushed by your stupid decisions because it'll teach you a lesson, right?
So you're saying that make more decisions, then you'll find out whether it's stupid or not.
It's almost like a parallel to that other quote, fail fast.
A what?
Fail fast.
I don't know that.
I think it was Mark Zuckerberg, but someone, I'm paraphrasing, it's not the best way I'm saying it, but it's like you fail fast. So
Oh,
go
fail
out-
fast. Oh,
yes.
okay. No.
Yeah, go
okay.
out there, do things.
I think
so
that
you
was
can fail.
Elon Musk, I think. Yeah. if I'm
Elon
not
Musk.
mis- Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, go out there and do things and make mistakes because you learn
Yeah.
from your mistakes. But
Yeah,
don't
no,
make
that's true.
unnecessary mistakes though.
Hmm?
Don't make unnecessary mistakes.
Unnecessary
That's
mistakes.
that's where time wasting comes in. But then isn't that stupid mistakes? No, it isn't. But it's a difficult one, but I would say yes, you should get crushed by your decisions at some point. So you get taught a lesson, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That
Hey,
was
guys.
a good one, eh? I want you to at least can you
Advice.
I would rather not say this one because
Is it that bad?
it's not bad. Okay, you're going to mute that specific word, right? It's just the one word.
Okay.
Then I'll just say the whole sentence.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'll just say the video is explicit, bro. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's see.
So it says only when a mosquito lands on your balls, you will learn a precision rather than strength.
Yeah, I heard that one before. That was like
Yeah,
in a meme, I think.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
pretty funny
Actually,
one.
I think I got it in the meme.
I got it from a meme. Yeah, I think it was just playing on like how guys can be like so violent and direct with their reactions. That
Okay.
when a delicate situation comes along, you need to exercise some dexterity.
Dexterity.
Yeah, you need to be careful.
Mm.
Yeah. That was a funny meme though.
Yeah, I know. It was
That's
really
hilarious.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to find the ones that you've said.
That I've said.
Yeah. Remember?
I think we had the same note. We were sharing the same
yes.
quotes. Do you still add to this list?
I do, eh? I actually do. That's how dedicated I am. You don't?
I have it, but what I do is I've translated like the proper ones into content for this Instagram channel, Instagram
Oh,
for this
really?
podcast. Yeah.
That's what you always wanted to do, remember? Initially.
Not really. Not really. I was taking down the quotes, but I always had my own thoughts behind it, but I never wrote down my thoughts. And so I felt that it was a nice
Mhm.
reason to add the quotes and then just my own thoughts behind it just to see what people thought about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I use the quotes for nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So This one is a good one.
Okay.
It says the revenge is beneath me. However, accidents will happen.
What movie is this from, Vice?
I don't remember.
What villain said this,
Yeah.
Vice? Nah, I think it was just some. I think it was just some villain talking about. I don't know, making mistakes and hoping that I don't
Yeah.
know, Vice. But yeah, it's like it sounds like a villain. Why do I know this? Where do I know
Yeah, I
this from?
think
You got it from a
I
movie?
got it from you.
When did I say such things, Vice?
No. I mean, like this list.
Oh, the list.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think. What does it say? What does it say? I usually put like a thing, like where
This
it's from.
one, it's
Hey, Vice, a dangerous one. This one.
cleared.
Hey, dude. Okay, yeah, but it seems like a quote from a villain or something. It's funny because when villains say things like that, this is something I find, right? Because I'm trying to put time into studying character development and writing and stuff. And I'm getting to this point
You see,
where, yeah,
okay, no, continue. I'll tell you after this.
okay, I'm getting to this point where villains get contradictive now. Because the way that you're supposed to write, I say supposed to, but whatever. I say a good way to write a villain and a hero is they're almost the same characters. They just make different decisions based on their own perspectives, right? But their logic it makes sense. Their logic makes sense. So I don't like let's say I don't think you've watched it, but The Mandalorian. So it's a Star Wars series.
Yeah.
In that universe, there's robots, and these robots are like they're sentient. They can think, right? He doesn't like them. Even though they can be the nicest personalities ever, he doesn't like them. It's like, why don't you like them? Because when I was a child, they tore me from my family. So I hate all of them. And then you're like, oh, okay, makes sense. That makes sense, right? That makes sense. But then there's certain things that villains say at some point. They gets to a point where it just doesn't make sense. And I don't know if it's a script writing thing, if it's the skill of the writer, or if it's just the villain's perspective. But you end up with a quote like that says, "What? I'm not about revenge, but if accidents happen, they'll happen." Right? It's like, bro, come on, man. That's lazy writing. You know?
Oh,
That means he's just looking for an excuse, right? He's just
Yeah.
looking at so he is into it. I would respect it more if the villain was like, "Yes, I believe in revenge." Because that's how the universe gets balanced. Because life is not fair, we must make it fair. Now that I can get behind. That I'm like,
okay.
the man makes a point. You know? Okay, but that's just me rambling off on that quote.
No, I mean,
Which
like,
makes sense to me. Huh?
why do you think I asked you this in the beginning? I knew that you want to make a story out of it. But here's a good one, right? I like this one. So it says you can tell about a man's character by how much truth he can tolerate.
But how much truth?
Yeah, truth he can tolerate.
Maybe that's grounded in the idea that the truth is bitter sometimes. It's often like really harsh. It's not what you're looking for. And so in those moments you get tested. Let's say you're with a girl for like 5 years
Yeah.
and you find out that she's been cheating on you for like 3 of those years. There's the truth. Now you have to deal with it, right? So I can see how your character will get tested in that regard, right?
Okay. So,
As an example,
harsh truth.
a harsh truth.
A harsh truth.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that a thing?
Harsh truths. Well, no, we add that on depending on what the truth is, but I think the truth is the truth. You make it what you want to make it. The truth, that's your response to it, calling it harsh or not harsh, already tells you about how you receive the truth. It's just the truth, man. You got to deal with it, right?
So, how you receive it, you get to determine the extremity of it.
Yeah, that's perspective. That's perspective. So that's how people say you can't control other people, you can't control the world, you can't control circumstances, but you can control your own reactions. So, let's say my wife divorced me, my child broke her leg at school, crashed my car.
Shame.
Shame, ne?
Hmm.
But I'm still happy. I'm still happy. I think it's funny you mentioned this because I was listening to the other day. I was listening to "Don't Worry, Be Happy." I forgot who sang it, but the OG version, and the lyrics are like
Wait,
sad.
are we talking about the exact same song?
Yeah, don't worry, be happy. You know,
Okay, no, it's
here's
not.
a little song I wrote. You might want to memorize it note for note. That one.
No, it's
Okay,
not.
well, it's a classic
I'll,
one. It's
I'll,
a classic one.
I'll
I'll show you.
I'll
It's
show
in my
you mine.
playlist. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I think it's okay. Maybe it's different versions, but the lyrics got sad, man. He was saying, what was one of those lyrics? He was saying, um, um, the landlord is telling me my rent is late. He said he might have to litigate. Don't worry, be happy. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeesh, man. Hectic. You know what I'm
let's see.
saying? But it's up to you. You can determine. When I was listening to the lyrics, I was like, I don't know if I'd be able to respond that way. But you literally determine your own mindset if you're strong enough to hold that truth and just be like, you know what? It's out of my control. I'm not gonna let it drag me down today. It's gonna be a good day today, regardless. You know?
Yeah, no,
And it's tough, right?
you know, sometimes there are certain things that you disregard and you start worrying about them. But then I know it's a very hard concept to just take in and always remember it every time. This thing of don't worry about what you're going to eat tomorrow or what's going to happen tomorrow. Just continue with it. Whatever unfolds, is going to happen.
Letting go, man.
Yeah.
Hey, letting go, dude. It's like I personally think it's the hardest lesson. At this point, I think it's the hardest lesson a human being can learn.
Why is the hardest?
Because no matter how much no matter how much people will tell you, don't be materialistic, don't have connections, don't care too much about physical things, don't care too much about where you are, the circumstances you are in. Try and remove yourself from it because you'll suffer less pain. You'll suffer less pain like that, right? But there's something about being human that involves connecting to something, whether it's mentally or physically.
Yeah.
So let's say a girlfriend or your wife.
I wish I had, but okay.
We're still young, but so I mean, people can tell you. I don't know if it's a Buddhist thing. I need to do a bit more research. Joel will probably know a bit more about it, but like, don't get too invested in connection, in relationships, in people, in things, because when you die, they're gone, you know. And it's like you can make that argument, but pride makes the other argument that life is about experiences and living,
Okay.
and you should enjoy life. Obviously, there's a limit. There's a limit to it because you can.
What determines those limits, though?
Well, the effect on other people and yourself. So let's say sleeping around is a bit of a tangent, but let's say sleeping around. You can say you're having fun and stuff. Fair enough, you are.
Yeah.
But physically, you might catch diseases.
Course, yeah.
And also mentally, because you start seeing your partner, either male or female, whatever, you start seeing them as less than people. You forget that they're human as well, that they have feelings as well. You just see them as another number. So that's an example of the bad things that can happen, right? Same thing with alcohol. You can sit and enjoy a good whiskey, right? You do it too much, alcohol poisoning, your liver starts taking hits. You also start acting out towards other people, increases aggression, spending a lot of money. You see, things can go a bit too far. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, so what I was saying is that the connection between people thing, you kind of have to remember that in order to live life as a person, you have to connect to things. You have to connect to people. Let me give you an example. If you're editing a video, wedding video, right? And the client comes back and says, let's say you spend like 7-8 hours editing this video. The client comes back and says, Oh, it's a nice video, but can we
Ooh,
you see
that
already,
happened.
you see the reaction, you see the reaction. Perfect. Because as an artist, scratch that. As a human, when you spend time on something, you put a bit of yourself into it
Of course.
automatically.
Yeah.
And as soon as someone attacks that thing, they attack you automatically. Now
They
here's
do.
here's the thing though. In order to experience life, in order to experience humanity, you have to connect to that thing.
Oh, yeah.
But if you connect too much and it gets taken away, you get destroyed.
Mm,
So I think maybe it's about learning that limit, right?
okay. Then that's where you get to determine the limits of each and every experience you choose to have. Is that so? Or what?
It takes some foresight though, because in order to set the limit, you kind of have to see the future. You have to meditate on it and think, okay, I need to be careful about what I'm doing now, because if it gets taken away in future, I'll get destroyed. But the problem with that argument is it's like, okay, if my bed is going to get messed up, why bother setting it? If the end thing is going to happen,
Mm.
and it's always going to happen, why bother doing anything about it if it's going to happen?
Yeah, I get.
So if my mom is going to die
Mm.
at some point, why should I bother forging a stronger connection with her in life if I'm just going to be if it's just going to be pain for me?
Yeah.
If there's a chance that I could break up with my girlfriend, why should I bother forging that connection? Why are we going out on dates?
Mm.
And the answer I will use from Joel is because in order to experience relationships, in order to experience maybe a project or piece of art that you're working on, you have to throw yourself into it entirely and risk getting hurt. And that's crappy though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're almost certainly going to get hurt. But relationship example again, but if you go into a relationship thinking, okay, there's a chance that it's going to end. So to protect myself, I'm going to only be halfway. So I'll only go out with her here and there. I won't invest too much. I won't ask her about her day too much because I'll get too connected. At the end of the day, that relationship is crap. It's a shitty relationship because you didn't even put yourself into it. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
So might as well throw yourself. Well, okay, depends now. You have to know your limits.
Yeah, no, I mean, you
It's
can't
tricky,
just. Yeah, no.
It's tricky.
Yeah, there's limits, obviously, to those things. Yeah.
Hey man, you're sending me down rabbit holes, dude. Feel free to jump in.
No, I mean, we've had these conversations a lot.
Yeah, we're just recording it this time.
Yeah, so the fact that we're recording it now is like, okay, my words are not coming out. I don't know why, but yeah, no. Quite an interesting conversation, though.
Yeah, man. Hey, you gotta. I'm gonna use Star Wars again as a reference, right? But there's there's an older character
Yeah.
that was speaking to a younger character, and the council has to decide whether or not to teach the younger character to become something greater, right? To train him to become a protector, right? But the problem with this child is too old. I never understood why they said he was too old. Because it's like you're teaching kids. He's a kid. Just teach him. He'll learn. He's a child, you know?
Yes.
But the problem why they said he's too old is because he formed too many strong connections with his mom.
Wait, they say he's too old.
And he's 8 years old.
Okay.
And so the more you listen, the more they say that they can read minds, right? So they're testing this kid. And they ask this kid, how do you feel? And the kid says cold, because the kid was feeling cold, right? And then one of the other guys says, your thoughts are on your mom. Why are your thoughts on your mom? And then we get to learn that he misses his mom. And then the problem there is you're missing your mom, which means you're afraid to lose your mom. What happens from fear? Fear leads to anger because you're getting angry about it now. You don't want something to happen to your mom. So you're looking to fight. You're looking to fight someone. You're looking to take that anger out on someone. You're looking for someone to blame. anger leads to hate. From anger, you start to harbor resentment for people that you perceive contributed to your mother's state now. So now you're resentful and it builds up inside. What does hate lead to? Hate leads to suffering. Inside, you're going to burn. It's going to burn you from the inside out. You're going to become a shell of who you are. And that's just from connection. And so I understand how connection can go too far, but you also need it. Because there's another scene, right? In a later Star Wars movie, the boy is grown up now. He's grown up now and he's older. I think he's like 18, 19 or something, right? And he's falling in love with a girl. You're not allowed to fall in love with a girl with these people now because you're forming a connection, eh? You're not allowed to form connections. But here's the problem. The people, they are guardians of the galaxy, right? Okay, it's a different, let me not call them guardians of the galaxy, but they're Jedi. They're supposed to protect the people. How are you supposed to protect the people if you don't care about them? And so when he's there, he's sitting with the girl, right? And the girl is curious, right? And she's learning about him. He's also speaking to her, and they're there eating food, right? And he cuts a pear, and he has powers, right? So he picks the pear up from her plate, and he puts it on his plate, and he cuts it, right? And while he's cutting it and using his powers, he tells her, hey, if my master saw me doing this, he'd be very angry. You know what I'm saying?
Why did you say that?
And it's interesting because they put so many limitations on what the Jedi can do. And then I can't remember who says it, either he or she. And then I think she says like, Aunt, I don't understand. Or the gist of it was the Jedi aren't supposed to love, right? But they're supposed to protect people. And he says, we're not allowed to form connections, but we're supposed to protect people. So it's almost like we're encouraged to love. It's almost like in them forcing them to not form connections, they're forcing them to do it. So they're telling them, you're not allowed to form connections with people, but protect them. How am I supposed to protect something I don't love? And so it was so cool that he brought that out.
It's mind-blowing, eh?
Yeah. But here's the thing, dude. You can only do that by, unfortunately, the classic Star Wars is about that issue. It's about him not being able to let go. That's why I said letting go is like the hardest thing for a human to do. Because it's almost like telling a human to not be human anymore.
Not that because I asked you why in the beginning. I asked you that just earlier on. And now that you broke it into sub-concepts, now I get to understand, like, I don't understand. I don't know. How do you view life?
How do I feel?
How do you view life as a whole?
Life as a whole? What do you mean? From what perspective? What do you mean?
Any perspective. That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you view life? When you...
It's tricky because at face value, it's very difficult at face value. And I know people can say, yeah, but you don't have it really tough. You've got a job and car and whatever. It's not tough. But what's funny about life is that from your perspective, you can be in hell. You can really be suffering.
In hell.
In hell. In the pits, as you say.
Okay.
You can be in the pits, really. Whereas somebody that's poor can be having the time of their life because they're fulfilled. And so it depends. It depends on the person you are. But at face value, it's almost like if you take it at face value, life is very nihilistic. It's kind of like nihilistic.
Nihilistic.
Yeah, and it's like, what's the point if we're gonna die? Why even bother doing things?
I had to, find a way on how to actually balance that actually in terms of like, okay, if this is gonna happen, why bother? Well, if you're gonna die at some point, why bother save money? You see, why not just whatever amount you get to have at some point? Why not just buy that A45 that you want? Because why not?
Right.
You see. So I'm like, okay, sometimes you need to take care of certain things so that they can take care of you as a human.
Was that your entire process? Like,
Of how I had to end up handling this whole situation of like living life as in like you're in the pits.
So what made you balance it out? Was that knowing that you have responsibilities right now?
Yeah, exactly. Having to figure out which responsibilities comes first and which ones to prioritize and when do you need to prioritize them.
But I'm gonna play devil's advocate now. Someone could say those responsibilities, when you're gone, I mean, it's meaningless. Like, why bother dealing with those responsibilities? It's not like it's gonna make you live longer. Why bother?
I mean,
Just as a thought exercise.
I mean, if we're going to put it in that perspective or in that situation, it's like you have no life as a whole, because now if you're not doing something about what you have now, it's just, why bother just wake up? You might as well also sleep the whole day
Exactly. Why bother waking up? Why bother making your bed if you're gonna sleep
if
in
you're
it
gonna
again?
sleep. It's
know?
it goes to that saying that of Jordan, like saying make your bed in the morning. It makes a huge difference. I remember one of my what was I think I was doing third year when I was staying Hatfield. So one of my roommates says, "Hey, bro, you always make your bed. I've never seen ever since I got you. You've always made your bed." That's when it clicked that actually I've been, but he hasn't, and that's when I get to like, no, this guy doesn't actually make his bed. He actually doesn't do his bed. He just wakes up.
And goes, yeah.
Hatfield, how he just make it.
Throw on your slides, your socks and your
And
slides,
and
your
what's
shorts.
crazy? And what's crazy?
Yeah,
He used to wear these sleepers. He would just wake up, wear them.
of course.
He would
Yeah.
come back late in the night. I'm like, what happened? You didn't have to change or whatever. Now you drunk. You coming back. That's how crazy it was.
Okay, wait. What difference did making your bed make for you? Why did you make your bed?
We spoke about momentum in the morning, right? I mean, not in the morning, I mean like earlier on, yeah. It builds certain momentums in terms of the responsibilities that I have to do for that day. So knowing exactly, it's like some things you just do them for personal care. Some things you do them because it helps with your daily routines and things that you need to accomplish for that day. So sometimes you don't get to have the backlog of what I need to do. It just runs through because it's your habits that you're used to. So I will notice when maybe on a Saturday morning when I'll just stay in bed up until like 9 to 10 there. I wouldn't immediately wake up and then start making my bed. I'll just maybe go play music or do something. And then that will be later on. That's when I get to make my bed. It already killed an amount of hours for me. So for an early day or like a weekday where I wake up, make my bed, that after making my bed, I know I have to maybe brush my teeth, start bathing, doing this. But if I immediately don't wake up and then do my bed, it kills the whole thing, the whole momentum of me having to carry on other responsibilities that I'm used to carrying after just making my bed.
Do you feel like those responsibilities give you purpose? It pushes you forward.
Yeah, it does. But at this point, they don't register. It's just things that I'm used to do.
But then okay, so what I'm getting to is, if we're talking about the nihilistic thoughts,
Yeah.
right? The thoughts of why bother? Why bother doing it?
Yeah.
Those actions, those responsibilities helped you stay off the path of nihilism, right?
Correct.
But if you've got a routine now and they don't register anymore, do you not still slip into nihilistic thoughts from time to time?
Well, sometimes it does happen.
It does.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that?
I mean, it's only when I start having too many tasks on my hand that are not complete. For instance, maybe I feel like I'm late in terms of like my schedules when I feel like maybe schoolwork or work-wise, I start to see that, okay, maybe I haven't done this for the whole week, or I haven't completed this specific task or this task. Then I get to realize, when did I get this? When did I get that? And then I start to say, no, man, things are getting a little bit clustered, and it looks like I've been having too much time on my hands and I haven't been using it wisely. That's when it gets to reaches like, no, maybe it's because maybe I watched amount of TikToks or whatever I'll be doing. That's when I got to misuse my time.
So you try and accomplish a task, and that sort of sets you straight, and you stop thinking nihilistically,
Yeah. I mean, when you
giving yourself purpose.
yeah, I mean, when you're doing tasks for the day, sometimes I try to dwell into that specific task so that I can get to enjoy it. That's how I get to learn things fast, or how I get to learn certain things, get to understand a deeper knowledge of what is it, so that there's things that's coming back now, but
Sure.
but that's how I get to learn certain stuff or new stuff, just to put more hours into it, such that at some point when I need to redo the same thing again for the second time or for the third time, I won't have to spend the amount of time I spent in the first place.
So do you think maybe learning how to do a task in a better way makes it fun for you, and that fun is what sets you straight? Like, you don't even worry
Yes.
about nihilistic things anymore. It gives you purpose to
Yeah.
learn.
Of course. So the fun part gets to happen maybe when I'm doing it, for the second time, maybe, because I've done it previously for the first time. I spent amount of hours doing it for the first time, get to understand and on how it works, how can I accomplish it, and so forth. And then later on, that's when I get to like, okay, I've done this, that. So yeah. Have you heard about the 10,000 hours?
No, probably no, I have not.
Just to maybe spend 10,000 hours on a specific profession.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then I haven't done much research on it, but I've been advised to just look into it.
And what does that do? Does it make you formidable in that?
Yeah. Get you to just, I don't know to what level, but to be at a proficient level where you're like an expert at a specific thing, you know how to do it. Even if like they can wake you up in the middle of the night and say, okay, what's this? And you get to do it.
Is that a goal that drives you, being that proficient at something?
I mean, I do wish at some point where I feel like I need to do something that I'm good at, without having to feel like I need to learn other things. Of course, I am. I'm very open to learning a lot of things, but I need to have that one thing where I'm like good at this thing.
And you feel that, is it the learning that thing that gives you purpose, or is it something in particular that you really want to do? Like, it may be coding because you're doing a lot of front end stuff now. Is it front end that you really want to get good at, like HTML, CSS? Is it that in particular, or is it just learning about it?
Full stack basically, but yeah.
Full stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
You're doing full.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it coding in general, like learning how to build a system from front to back to deploying to selling
Yeah.
and maintaining?
Yes.
That's what you want to do. That's what drives you.
Yeah.
That's what what I'm trying to get to is what pushes that nihilism away.
Yeah. It actually does, because sometimes thinking from that perspective, that from getting to understand a specific product or a system and having to understand how it works, who's the target market, how can I sell it, and how can I market it? Am I able to pitch it to a specific client who's going to use it, or maybe to a specific end user, or to the product owner? You see, so that kind of a process, it drives me as a whole and says, okay, maybe learning how to build it, learning how to speak for it, defend it, and improve it. It drives a lot of nihilism from it.
Do you ever feel that sometimes there's so much stuff to learn, or there's so many different things that you want to know that there's almost not enough time to spend it all in one thing.
I think that's where a trick comes in. Yeah, choosing what to learn and how to obviously balance it in real world. Because obviously there's a lot of things that at some point I'm like interested into psychology, but that's just from just personal growth and
Tell me what you think of this quote. Jack of all trades, but a master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one.
it's often better than the master of one.
Jack of all trades,
Mm-hmm.
but a master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one. What do you think of that?
I would say to some level it is true.
Which part of it is true?
The fact that you're a jack of all trades, it's easier for you can be put in the desert and you're still able to survive, or into sea you're still able to survive,
But not thrive.
possibly, but you might survive. Yeah, unlike being put into a desert, but you can't do anything because you're aquatic.
So you'd lean more over to the jack of all trades.
Yeah, I do lean more into the jack of all trades. The reason that is because I'm into tech. Well, yeah, I'm in the tech space. So there's a lot of knowledge there, and there's a lot of things from your AI to your machine learning and a lot of things, data, yeah, a lot of stuff, low code, and to like the basic coding from scratch, and yeah, so many things. But then now you're like, for instance, maybe you're just a graduate who doesn't even know what to do. For instance, now you're just puzzled. What is it that you want to do? And then now they take you into a startup company, and then now they're just making you do maybe basic coding from like your web pages with your HTML, CSS, and JS and its libraries, or maybe one of the libraries. And then now you just don't like it, and then now you don't know where to go from there, because that's not what you want to do, and you still don't know. It gets to a point where you feel like leaving it and then doing something else. Reason I'm saying that's because now you didn't know what you wanted. All you wanted is just a job for survival. And then some of them, maybe companies, they'll just say, okay, maybe for instance big companies just say, okay, you're here, we have a stream of data, your AI, your BA, all those different departments, or well, yeah, sub departments, or they get to just say choose, or you work with anyone, whoever calls you to do the work. At the end of maybe 6 months or a year, you'll get to decide where you want to go. That's a good exposure.
So in that case, you'd say being multi-skilled is good.
It's good, yeah.
Because in that case, you develop many skills because you're getting thrown around quite a bit.
Yes.
It's like our degree that it was very broad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even so BIT, the normal BIT we did was a bit too broad, and I think the university saw that.
Yeah.
That's why they gave us 3 or 4 different streams, right? And
yeah.
did we pick the same stream? Information science.
Information systems, yeah.
No, it's BIT, IS,
yeah.
but in something specific.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, I did, remember I did business management.
You did business management.
Yeah.
I think Case and I did information science.
Information science, yeah.
Yeah. Nevertheless, information systems is also really broad, because
it is.
Yeah, because just between you and I, what we did in final year is we did the front end, we did the back end, we did
It's
a bit of
basically
UI.
the whole system.
Yeah, basically the whole system.
From your documentation.
Documentation.
A whole document, not
planning,
just
yeah.
like your basic requirements, but the whole documentation.
Planning out the database, ERDs. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So in that case, to connect to your example, it's good then being a jack of all trades till a point.
To a
Because
point.
after that, you have to pick a stream.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're more marketable that way.
Exactly.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because now it allows you to, especially in this field, it allows you to go into any deep. Because obviously, working into tech allows you to go into different fields now, from your healthcare to everything. That was actually part of my research. The health one, yeah, health tech actually, yeah, where you talk about the misinformation, how data gets manipulated, how does it feed the whole world now into like your COVID. How did they get to use data to manipulate the whole world into thinking that it's about to collapse? You see. So just a simple thing such as data gets to affect all these different departments like health, the government, the currencies, everything.
So it's almost like you have to specialize at some point. You
Yeah.
can't, it becomes almost, it's not practical.
Because
Sorry, it's not practical to do everything at some point.
not yeah, I feel like maybe in the early stages where you're doing your foundation, get to have an understanding on how to at least grasp knowledge, specific knowledge, and get to use it into what you want or what you like or what you're currently doing at that point.
I'm asking because I'm trying to convince myself
Into
to specialize. I guess you could say in a way I am with
are you
the
not?
video.
I not now.
If you ask me what I do most of the time, it's video work. So in that case, that's my speciality then. Right? But I do other things. And
I know.
but you have to eventually specialize then.
Yeah,
And it's not a bad thing.
it's certainly not.
It does, like we said, make you marketable.
Yeah, makes you at least. I think the trick is what exactly is it going to sustain you long time or not?
Yeah, because that's a good question. Because if you're a business owner, let's say, you have to know everything in the beginning. But at some point, you have to give the job to someone else. You have to tell someone else to go do your social media. You have to tell someone else to go do your accounting.
And
It's just not practical for you to do everything, as proud as it might make you.
yeah, and it gets to a point where you know what they're doing, not necessarily because. So, for instance, you hear other people saying that. Oh, never mind that. But it's you having to understand your finances. If maybe you're doing business, you know how to do your more basic accounting in your own business. You'd have to go through that on your own first, and then you do your HR on your own. You hire your own employees. Then, how do you know that? I know this one has a specific character that I like. That's why maybe I feel like we can, get to do the job. I don't know. Do you have to like someone for you to hire them?
No, but like you said, you have to know the job.
Exactly.
As soon as you know the job, it tells you what kind of person is required.
Yes. So meaning that you have to do
You have to do the
all
job.
these different functions from a business perspective. It's easier for you to end up saying, okay, I want this person. This one does the job better, and actually they have ideas that they can actually improve my business at the end of the day. It's not just the person who's going to just dwell into your own ideas or get stuck there. They can't even expand or do anything about it. So for instance, maybe now that you're working in videography together at some point, it's like me. I also have our vision is like the same. It's like it's okay. It works for that moment, but we don't ever get to reach different points where we're like, okay, actually, maybe we can do certain things this way, and with a mix of what you currently have now or what you're currently seeing it, how it's supposed to be at some point.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm gonna try to find an example in the meantime.
Sure. It's so because the reason why I ask is because You mean that we have these things that we're good at, like multiple things,
Yeah.
but at some point we might not end at the same point.
Mm.
I might go on to, let's say, something else in videography. You might go into something else. You might go into just the editing, get someone else to do the videography. I might stop the videography and go over to directing. Do you mean like that? What do
No,
you?
no, I meant like in the end product of things.
Mm,
So now that maybe we're shooting this podcast now,
mm,
you have your own specific way on how you maybe saw it as an end product.
mm,
I might have my own way. As much as you see me having capabilities of maybe editing it,
mm, mm,
maybe possibly because you saw that I have skills to edit something like this. For me to just have same ideas on how you edit it doesn't necessarily make me the better person or the best person. But for me to just say,
For the
okay,
job.
yeah. But for me to say, okay, I have different skills that maybe I can show you than what you currently know. So just being, just exploring with people, just to allow them to do what they have in their mind, rather than just putting a wall into their eyes or their vision.
I think that's what learning multiple fields does for you.
Yeah.
So if I want to run a proper media production house, right? It benefits me that I've done everything, that I've been behind the camera, I've done some directing, I've scripted some things, I've, all these things. Let's say in a media house, let's say I've done all those things.
Yes.
From there, I know exactly what to look at for a videographer. I know they have to have that eye.
Yes.
I know they have to know composition. I know they have to have a steady hand. I know they have to know technically how the camera works. They have to know the settings for any particular circumstances, whatever. So because I've touched on everything, I know who to look for. But what you're saying is there comes a point where you start to have to almost their creative eye is different now. Because technical skills, it's there. We have the same amount of hours in DaVinci Resolve or the same amount of hours in Premiere Pro,
Yes.
but our creative eyes are different now. So I think me having been in, let's use an example of I'm trying to hire you to be an editor.
Yes.
Me being in your shoes already helps me know who to look for and to be open-minded as well, to say he's got something, let him run. Because imagine it like this, right? Imagine I came from HR, the HR department, and someone put me in a managerial role or hiring role, and this happens actually on a regular basis. HR takes over the hiring process for particular divisions. So let's say it's videography, right?
Yes.
I, as the CEO, have been a videographer, so I know exactly what to look for. If I look at you in your eyes and I tell you, take this camera, do a production shoot of this cup, make it interesting for me. HR person is not going to know what the hell they're doing. They're just going to be like, oh, technically he doesn't know how to hold the camera, whatever. But me, I'll know, forget that. His eye is there. He knows how to do it. I'll hire him. So does that make sense?
I get you.
You see, because you've been in all of these smaller roles in your business, you know what to look for and you know when to give leniency for certain things. Sure, he doesn't know how to hold the camera, but he's got something else, and I like that, right? Because I'm trying to connect it back to your whole
Yeah.
jack of all trades thing and how it's actually beneficial to someone that wants to be like a business owner or something. So at the end of the day, you would lean more towards jack of all trades.
I do. Because that's what helps you to actually understand the whole market. If maybe you end up doing your own thing,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
helps you.
Devil's advocate, though. Devil's advocate. You're wasting time. Why don't you just put all of those hours into that one task, your 10,000 hour task? Because you'll be a master at it. And when I say master, you'll know 100% everything.
I mean,
sooner.
yeah, you're right. Fact is that, so for instance, now you want to do videograph, right? Let's say maybe you want to have your own production studio at some point. What are you going to mostly spend more hours on? Are you going to spend more hours on accounting, saying that, okay, actually, I'm going to receive a lot of money. So let me start learning on how to do budgeting for my equipment. Let me actually start knowing how to, to balance my amounts, how much I'm going to receive. What are you going to, or you're going to start going, put more work into behind the camera, writing more scripts? What is it that you're going to spend more hours on?
If your goal is a business, there's no way you can only spend time on one thing. So yeah, I'd spend time on the main. I'd touch on everything. I'd have to. You'd have to touch on everything. You can't afford to spend time on one thing, right? So in that example, if my goal is like a business,
Yeah.
then yes, I'd have to touch on everything. I can't focus just on accounting. I can't focus just on one thing. I'd have to touch everything. That's what you're getting at, right?
That's what I mean. But my point is, you want to have a production studio, right?
Yeah.
What are you going? What's mostly where are you going to spend most of your time?
Behind the camera.
Exactly my point. So now, if you're going to spend more time behind the camera, that means that maybe you can rather spend more, give that 10,000 hours behind the camera, and the rest of things you'll master throughout that 10,000 hours. As much as it's needed, doesn't necessarily. Maybe it needs some emphasis. The 10,000 hours needs maybe some emphasis in terms of like, doesn't necessarily mean that you spend like strictly into that, doing that thing only. It means maybe doing things that also makes that thing as a whole.
Yeah, I like that. You're not just strictly in that one thing. You have to by the periphery, like you will have to learn a little bit. When you're doing the video, you have to think as a video editor as well
Of course.
to get your angles right, to get the lighting right. Think, I don't want to do too much color grading. Let me get the exposure right, things like that. So you will have to, or not have to, it will happen
It
naturally
will happen, yeah.
that you will, start learning other things.
So for instance, now you want to do consulting for, could be anything. You're not just going to spend time doing consulting only. You have to be everywhere, depending on what field is that. But you have to be in different places doing that consulting. That's where your 10,000 hours comes from. And what does that teaches you? It teaches you to deal with, how to deal with people, different employees, how to approach people, how to respond to people, how do other people manage their businesses, and how you got treated, that you do, and how certain aspects that you liked about other people. And that's when you get to, even to meet people, future employees, for instance. That's when you get maybe build connection and say, okay, actually maybe I like this person. I like that admin. How about I call her or him and say, okay, actually I have this. Can you come out? We can make a good deal from there. And by then, that's when you get to have a good team, because you went to different places. You're putting in that 10,000 hours into that one thing that you're trying to master. And then now you have what? A business as a whole.
Yeah. So it's okay, let's dilute it down, or not dilute it. Let's concentrate it down. It's the opposite, into something that's like something that we can look at clearly. It's that your 10,000 hours is almost like your main goal.
Yeah.
You need to have a main goal.
You need to.
You need to. You have to, because it pulls you out of nihilism, because it gives you purpose. Or at the very least, striving towards it, doing the mini tasks to lead up to it gives you purpose. You said that, and I agree with that. That's why I asked you so many times, does it help you? Does it push you? Does it push the nihilism away? Because I was getting to that main purpose. Let's say your goal in getting really good as a full stack developer. That's your goal.
Yeah.
Thing is, in order to achieve that goal, let's say, for surface value, you can put 10,000 hours into, let's say, okay, full stack is not the best example because it's a very broad thing, but let's say full stack, right?
Yeah.
But in order to be a full stack developer, you need to ask questions.
Mm.
You need to present your system. You need to learn how to sell your system. You need to learn how to think from a front end developer's perspective. You need to learn how to think from a back end developer's perspective. Already, yes, you had the main goal of being a full stack, but just by virtue of going towards that goal, you have to learn other things. You have to. It's just no choice.
Things that gets accompanied by those things, that one specific thing that you're trying to do.
Yeah, we can't think one-dimensionally about this thing. So,
No.
jack of all trades, but a master of none is oftentimes better than a master of one. But they overlap.
They do.
They overlap in any case. Because sure, if you want to be good at one thing, you're going to have to touch on other things at the same time. But you and I, would lean more into try and dabble in many things. Because it'll ultimately strengthen your main goal. It'll make you more formidable with your main goal. If your goal is to create but here's the thing. That's why having something like a company automatically sets you up to have many skills. You have to have.
You do.
Right? But everything in life is like that though. Like if I want to be a technician, if I want to be a mechanic, a car mechanic, motor mechanic, as they used to call them, but technician. If I want to be a VW technician, I can't just study VWs though, because I have to study engines as a whole, right?
Yes.
Although you have to, maybe there's a particular way VW does their engines or particular kinds of engines, but I have to learn engines as a whole. I have to learn how to read certain diagrams. I have to learn the lingo. I have to learn to communicate with my fellow technicians. So you learn other skills. You learn job management in a workshop. We know this.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess the difference is the kind of person you are. Because if you're the kind of person that wants to learn, that wants to progress in life, you automatically take up more. You take an interest in other tasks around you. So if you're a technician that wants to become the manager, you're not just going to stop at doing your job. You're also going to learn to manage. You're going to learn to manage your time first. Maybe you'll present to your manager, hey, we can do this a bit quicker this way.
See, that's actually one thing I've learned throughout my profession, actually. It's having to learn some things for the first time. That's what I said earlier on. Having to learn things for the first time, you make sure you learn it at your best, so that when you get to do it again, you don't spend more time on it.
Yeah.
So for instance, I'm sure for the first time when you were editing this podcast, it took you a couple of hours, because it's like, okay, where do I find this controller? Where is the cutting button? Where is this? Where is that? Now you just sit down. It's like, okay, that's like that. Maybe it gets cut down maybe by 3 hours or 2 or less or more.
I think the difference here is my goal isn't to make the process faster. In my mind, the process is just getting in the way. I try and get it out the way as fast as possible, because the goal is a finished episode.
And somehow, somewhere,
you end up being efficient.
At the end of the day. Because it's like that thing of how many hours do you charge? Remember, you once gave me a big scenario. And yeah, one of my managers the manager told me, says, the reason why I'm charging you 8,000 for an hour, it's not because it's gonna take me 1 hour to do this thing. I'm gonna do it in 20 minutes. You're just paying for the amount of time I spent back then mastering this profession, so that I can get to do it in such efficiently in a very short time of space, so that I can also be able to help do other things. You're not necessarily paying
for the time it takes. You're paying for the time I put in.
Exactly. Back then to master this, and so that I can get good at this point.
Yeah, that was a difficult one. Like learning how to charge, eh?
It still is for me as
No,
well.
it's yeah, no,
Yeah, it still
100%. It
is.
still is. It still is. But you also, I think now, the back then when you watch those YouTube videos, they say they keep saying this thing as if it meant something to us back then. But how much is your time worth? And it's like you're asking the question backwards. Like, how much do I charge?
Mm,
How much is your time worth? How much do I charge? It's the same question backwards. But the more you progress in life, the more responsibilities you get, the more jobs you get, the more your time is worth more.
yes, of course.
Like use Pride as an example. He's got I don't know how many clients right now. If he gets another one, he'll be fair, but it's also because he's also charging a certain amount because that's how much his time is worth now.
Of
It's worth a
course.
lot.
Mm,
Combining that with my skill set, with my demand now, it's worth a lot. It's
that
worth a lot of
counts.
money. I still have to figure that out, man. I still
Yeah,
have to figure out.
I think it's a learning process.
Yeah, but you also use it is a learning process, but I also use like I run the simulation in my head and I see, do I get resentful at the end of the month? Would I get resentful
What do you
after
mean?
getting this paycheck?
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Would I feel like I'm getting paid less? You do? Then increase, you know? But that's a bad it's not bad, but it's not the best way to do it because you have to combine it with a few other things as well. Because in the beginning you might be a bit lenient as well. It might be like,
I mean,
I can do it quickly. I can do this. But then when the time comes and you actually sit down, you're like, this is actually a complex problem.
mm,
I'm doing a lot more work here than I'm getting paid for. So you need to, there's a lot of things to balance. I'm not saying this is the answer. I'm not saying use feelings. That's ridiculous.
yeah.
I'm saying that's one of the ways that I know I did not charge properly. One of the symptoms is I start getting resentful. And that's a dangerous one. That's how you know we went too
Yeah.
far.
I totally get what you're saying.
Don't know. I don't know how to charge yet, but there's a way. Well, I mean, hourly rates is a thing as well. You and I have hourly rates that we feel comfortable for now, but it's not the best.
Yeah. Thinking about it in a design perspective, imagine now if I'm gonna use Nike for an example, and
You're gonna
then
use
Nike,
Nike?
yeah, like the
Nike.
swoosh logo. So imagine now someone says, "I want a logo. What kind of logo? No, something simple, swoosh like, whatever." And then they get to ask me, how much do you charge per hour? I said, 10,000, for instance. Okay. How many hours do you think it's gonna take you? Maybe six hours. And then I come back, I present that switch logo to you. And you're like, so this took you 6 hours.
And it's just a tick.
And it's just a tick. What would be your first reaction then? How would you deal
Okay,
with
if I
that?
come from a client perspective and I've never seen the
Yeah,
Nike
from a
logo
client
before,
perspective, obviously, yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because I'm removing my designer brain from it, right? Like
Correct.
it's ridiculous. Why would you? It's just a tick. But how would you approach it from a designer's perspective? How would you justify it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. It is. I'm trying to think how will I justify my answer with that.
Okay, I would say it's a combination of things. Obviously, it's like my history in designing logos. But the next thing is it's not just a drawing on the page. You didn't see the conceptual process I went through. You didn't see the amount of iterations I went through. All you see is the final tick. You didn't see that there was one that went backwards. You didn't see that there was one that went forward. You didn't see that there was a 3D version of that thing. Did I show you the toon shaded version? I didn't. There were many versions of this thing. I even scrapped 10 of them. I went on a journey down the road, listening to music, got inspiration, came back and did another version. You didn't see those.
Was
You just saw this final version. You don't know
which
my
you think
process.
I just woke up and said,
Right.
I'm gonna
And so
submit that.
when you see this final product,
Yeah.
understand that it did not come about by mistake. I worked on
course,
it.
yeah. I think that's where,
It's intentional.
mm,
I don't know if people use that as rational.
yeah.
It's a guess.
But I think that's a very valid reason to just give them. It didn't come by mistake. It wasn't just a once-off thing.
Sometimes it is though.
I mean, but you still gotta charge
Sometimes
them.
God speaks to you and you're like,
But you still gotta charge them for those hours.
that you're gonna charge them. But that's what's so tricky about charging creative work.
Yeah, yeah. Charging creative work, it's just a lot of work.
Because you can't always distill it down to it took me so many hours to type in this amount of work, and it's not a robotic job. It's a very magical thing, creativity. Because it sometimes strikes, it sometimes doesn't strike. Sometimes things fall into place.
Mm.
Sometimes they don't. I don't know if you've had this. You probably have encountered it sometimes, but I call them happy coincidences. I think I got it from Bob Ross. Bob Ross is a painter. He used to paint all,
Yeah, I remember him.
the afro.
Yeah.
Or happy accidents is what he called them. But I call these happy. Yeah, I call them happy accidents. When I'm editing a video,
Oh,
and
no,
maybe
I
you
get-
see where I'm going
know,
with this.
I know.
You see where you already know. And the song I chose, 110% lines up with everything, and it closes off just as the video ends. Or when I edited the video according to the song, this one beat happens at this one point, or this drop happens at one point, and it hits like
Very beautiful, eh?
emotionally, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall with BP and Gabe's Lobola, there was one moment. So
Was
I
it-
broke. It was when remember when they were choosing when BP was hidden
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and
At the Lobola.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and when Gabe's mom
Mm.
found BP,
Yeah.
right, it just so happened that the song hit that one point where there was just vocals, and it was so I can kind of feel goosebumps coming out because when she hugged BP, I caught that on camera. And she was so happy to find her. The music lined up absolutely perfectly, and it felt like so emotional. It felt so good.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen that. Yeah, considering that been following your work and been doing it together at some point.
Yeah,
It's
it happens.
happy accidents.
Happy accident, but sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's just not. It's not coming together. I just don't feel it. I
Yeah.
don't feel it. And
So that's why it takes time to. It's a bit difficult to charge those kind of things.
yeah. And it's almost like artists have to kind of begrudgingly say, fine, it'll take me 2 hours because the 2 hours gives me enough time to have those lightning strikes from God,
You see.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
you're
know?
actually right.
So it's a weird thing, charging for creative work. It's so weird. It's one of the, Jordan Peterson says it's one of the hardest things to do
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to make money from
Especially
creative work.
artwork.
Especially fun?
Artwork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're okay with business. With business, you see a problem. Sometimes the client communicates the problem, but you see a gap in the market. You design a product and then you sell the solution, right? With art, it's almost like you're not creating the problem, but it's a problem that the people never thought they would ever have. And you found it. And you have to simultaneously convince them that it's a solution and that the problem exists in their mind. That's what selling art is.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to make them think that it's a problem and you're selling them a solution.
Yeah. Because in a normal business situation, sometimes the customer doesn't know what they want. You know this. We know this. But they catch on pretty quickly as soon as they see the solution because they're like, oh, it does solve the problem. I'm buying into it. With art, with a movie, why are you giving me a movie? I didn't ask for a movie. And you're like, but wait. There's a part in there that'll speak to you in your heart. There's a really emotional bit in there. Watch it. And you have to convince that person that when they watch the movie, they'll feel something. That's the thing about art. It's like you're having to convince them that there's a problem in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because when you watch those movies that take you by surprise, Yeah, bruh, certain scenes will hit you, and you thought, I didn't think I needed that, but I'm glad.
I know you like to be very emphasized in terms of like when you watch a movie, like watch this thing, hear the beats, you're like feel the surround system, like did you feel that beat? Do you see when Batman this is when it's like I'm like I'm just there when he gets killed. And that's the best part for me.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So for you it's just like it's very sensational to you. Like that. And understand how you get to watch. Sometimes I used to struggle understanding how do you watch movies? Do you watch for the sake of just watching to understand them? And then at some point I got to understand that oh, you actually like how some scenes got they are taken in what angle, what movie. I've seen that you at some point you also invested in the music parts of it. It's like you used to even play. You got me hooked into playing musics from movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice, eh? And you actually get to understand that the movie as a whole, there's so much work that gets invested. Sometimes I wouldn't understand how much, what would you spend maybe close to $1 billion just for a movie? I'm like, there's artists that charges like millions for just hitting a beat. The lightning like takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. But you see, that's a perfect example. Me telling you, guys, listen to this, see how it coincides with the scene.
Yeah.
And at the time, you didn't see it because I was trying to convince you of a problem you didn't know you had.
I'm like,
Trying to show you that it'll make a difference in your life if you just pay attention. And but you didn't see it at the time because didn't suit you.
because just the perspective. Yeah.
Maybe you know what it is. Have you heard this thing? Red Bull does it actually. They don't sell an energy drink; they sell a lifestyle. That's why if you go on their Instagram, there's hardly any shots of Red Bull. It's the teams doing backflips and the skateboarding and the
Yeah.
right.
That's actually a good one.
If you're a water bottling company, you're not selling the water, you're selling the lifestyle that water entices. Let's say a big board, Ford. It said live that Ford Ranger lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. They're selling the lifestyle because everyone is selling an SUV. Everyone is selling a bakkie.
Yes.
So maybe art is selling emotion. Maybe you need to, maybe when you're selling your art, maybe when you're marketing your art and you're trying to win that client over and they're looking at your 60,000 Rand price for a logo, I'm not selling you a drawing on a page. I'm selling you the face of your brand.
Face.
I'm selling you an identity. I'm selling you consistency. I'm selling you the future of your brand. That's what I'm selling you.
Crazy how you'd ask someone to create something for you that you're deeply going to get connected to it, the brand. Because now, if I'm going to ask you to create a logo for me, at some point I would have to love that logo. I'm like, I'm doing this for this brand.
So use that. So you'll use that. You'll be like,
so
that's why when you're selling your logo, you don't just show them the drawing. You put rationale. You put reasoning.
you just have to
win
make it a
them over.
story.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is a story.
Yeah.
You have to sell them on it. So maybe that's what artists need to focus on. When you're giving a quote to somebody, wedding quote, it's not just photography, videography, highlights, video, what.
Yeah.
It's we're going to capture this segment. This is how I'm going to capture this moment here. We're going to frame this moment in a very ethereal way. We're going to capture you running through the grass. We're going to catch your, and that's what's going to be encapsulated in this section of the highlights video. In this section, we're going to capture, the moment we're going to capture is the giving of the bride over, the protection of the bride over to the groom, and that's what's going to be symbolized in the shot in this section here, right? Am I talking nonsense?
That's actually a good marketing
right? In the
skill,
photography,
Yeah.
we're going to make sure every person in the family is captured in this manner. We're going to have certain frames where we have the mothers of the family here, so we can show supporting, I mean, right?
That's actually good.
Maybe
eh?
you got to approach it from that angle,
Yeah.
from that emotional angle as an artist when you're selling it.
Boy.
Possibly. I think we got somewhere. I think we
Yeah.
got somewhere in this conversation.
Again, then, yeah, after we just need to drop that plan. Not a plan, continue from where we left off, and then.
Next time. We'll continue
Yeah.
next time. But, yeah, Vice, thanks for coming, my guy.
No, thanks, my brother.
Always good seeing you.
Yeah. It's been I'm thinking about my first day of varsity 2018.
Yeah.
Up until where I got to rest and I didn't have any pillow. And who's this? Stian or
Robert.
Billy? Robert, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually came. He was like, no, man, I have a pillow. You can use it.
Yeah.
And you
didn't
came
have
with your
pillow.
family there, greeted your little sister. She was still young. And
You're still young.
yeah, man, we're here now.
Crazy, eh?
Yeah, from
From
being
sharing-
roommates 2018. I don't remember the specific date, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's wild. Now we are two shooting shenanigans, shooting
Yeah.
videos for clients,
Jogging,
weddings,
yeah, jogging,
jogging.
by
Those jogs were
LC.
nice. Those jogs were nice. And,
studying OBS.
OBS,
course.
fighting cause, the final year project. It's only the
remember-
beginning, bro.
Yeah, no, I guess, yeah. There's so many things that looking forward to as well. I know,
Alright,
but yeah, thanks for inviting me. Eh?
No stress. Thanks for
It's been a
coming.
great talk. I hope next time I'll get more emotional and get to talk about personal
Yeah,
stuff.
we want you to open up, man. You're always so closed off. I'll get you next time. Don't stress.
Yeah, no, you have to be a tough one to get me to open up. Eh?
I have to be what?
to be a tough one.
What are you trying to say? I'm not tough, guys.
Didn't
I'll
say that.
climb over this table, bro.